Good Sunday morning to you, Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com. They represent 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. And all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. You're looking at snow cover here. You just saw the snow across the U.S. Not every state showing up with snow, but most. And this is the snow extent across the northern hemisphere right now. You can see that the trends have been kind of pretty much in the middle of past years. But, roughly about late October and into November, we really started to pick it up in the northern hemisphere. And then since then, notice this big right turn we've made here. Now, breaking that down for North America, you can see we're really at one of the snowiest in decades. Right here, it looks like the first week of November, much of November has been that way. And now we're back in sort of the middle of the pack, if you will. Looking at Eurasia, they've actually not been doing as good. Notice they've been on the lower end here across most of Europe and Asia. And then a little bit of an inroad here once we got into the end of October. And then kind of in the middle of the pack. And then a sharp decrease in the amount of snow as compared to other years at this point. So the rumors you hear about all the snow and stuff is really changed up a lot. And if anything, we're in much weaker snowfall territory. Looking at the northern hemisphere once again, you can see that difference now. For this VELCO weather outlook, quiet weather continues into Friday, the end of the work week, with two Arctic air masses pushing into Vermont from a very dry source region, that is northwestern Canada. This is expected to change just beyond this period, looking ahead to next weekend, when increased amounts of moisture and a pattern change will start to take place. That also means warmer conditions and the likelihood of mixed precipitation. Thus impacts this week. We're expecting some -0 temperatures, just a little bit of Arctic chill. This would happen, it looks like, on Tuesday and especially Thursday mornings. Beyond this period, though, a warm-up will take place with a southern stream system, shifting precipitation our way toward Vermont. Right now, the bulk of the precipitation looks like it's going to pass to the south of us. In more recent modeling, it showed a pretty good batch of it working into our neck of the woods. That still could happen. Looking at temperatures across the lower 48 United States, you can see warmer air along the southern tier regions. We have a storm system marking the differential between what we call the baroclinic zone and, of course, an area of low pressure that's been produced a lot of rainfall right across this particular area and into the Carolinas, most notably western North Carolina, southern Virginia. And as you can see here, these are some of the snowfall totals and a lot of healthy reports. And we'll break it down just a little bit better here. So what you can see here is there's been some reports over as much as 18 inches in the sort of southwestern portion of North Carolina and the sort of the northwestern corner of South Carolina. And this particular area has been just really getting some pretty heavy snow. Very well forecast by all the models, and nothing to be surprised about. We knew this was coming a long time. What's driving our weather up in Vermont is a shortwave trough, one of very many shortwave troughs that have continued to roll to the southeast and into the northeast U.S. Taking a look at the 6-hourly panels of the European model, we see this is the 1 o'clock Sunday model here, and with 6-hourly increments, you can see the storm system over the southeast and middle Atlantic area there working off the coast with most of the precipitation working out. We have a little bit of precipitation tonight that's going to stretch across the northern, probably 1/3 of Vermont with some light flurry activity. Really not a whole lot in the way of precipitation as Arctic areas of higher pressure continue to move in. They move through and then they exit out, and it's followed by the next shortwave trough. And indeed, a little bit more moisture is going to work in. It looks like for Tuesday night. We have some pretty decent dry weather in between, however. There's a 1031 hectopascal surface high-pressure system that moves on in. This is the one that really means business in terms of scooping up and changing the whole system up here. So what we have here is another developing storm system in the Gulf coastal region. Good inflow out of the Gulf of Mexico. A nice southeasterly or southerly flow. And all of this is going to work in for this weekend. And you can see the progression here. Once we lose that area of higher pressure, you can see that most of the precipitation, at least shown in this particular model today, this deterministic European model, is moving off the coast. and to the south of us, and that may not be the case once everything sets up. I'm going to run this one more time, just looking at precipitation type. So you can see how the setup is with who's raining and who's snowing, and you can see a little bit of moisture there that swings on through Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then that continues to move on out quickly in the area of higher pressure and control. Watching that system in the Gulf coastal states, you can see how that starts to work in. It phases in with the northern branch, this sort of polar branch, and it's kind of the last shot. The two phase together and make for a messy mix here across northern New England in our neck of the woods. So we're looking at mixed precipitation types that could impact utilities. Stay tuned on that. Looking at the GFS ensemble for Montpelier, you can see very little moisture until roughly around the middle of the week. That's that Tuesday night, Wednesday morning business. And then everything kind of holds off until we get into that storm with mixed precipitation types. Looking at the QPF every 3 hours, this signals it a little bit better. This is our weak system here, and then you can see where things go. And finally, looking at precipitation type, you can see this is all snow. It starts out as snow. It looks like it mixes with a little bit of freezing rain, but mostly just rain. And GFS ensemble at this time, this is the snow measurement, 1.5 inches. European has something like 3 to 4 inches, and I think most of that is probably fairly accurate with a little bit of wet snow in our local higher terrain. Doesn't look like a big storm right now, but that could change. This is quantitative precipitation forecast, or the total accumulation of the melted precipitation plus rain. So you can see that we're looking at around a little bit in the vicinity of a 1/2 inch here to the west, 1/4 inch or less to the north and east, and the main storm track is through the middle Atlantic states where it has been. Pacific Northwest is seeing some needed precipitation. Most of California, though, is starting to dry out again. And we like to look at the temperature scale here. So this is 850 hectopascals, about the top of Mount Mansfield. So you see this is the 0 degree isotherm, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can see that anything that's warmer than that has a tendency to fall as rain or mixed precipitation types. We'll see how it develops down on the course surface. But at this point here, we're looking at some mixed precipitation over the weekend. And a quick look at wind. Right now, nothing real major in terms of wind. And finally, 2-meter temperature. You can see that the GFS ensemble is a little bit weak on the increased amounts of warmth, but this blue line kind of illustrates for both Saturday and Sunday where temperatures are going to get up around 40 to 45 or so. Folks at NOAA Weather Prediction Center, you can see temperatures running about 3 degrees below normal here, a little colder. This is starting to make inroads, and of course this is a major warm-up, running 15 degrees above normal. That's helped brought on by the Chinook conditions, downsloping winds off the Rockies. And about 3 days later, you can see a little bit of a warm-up out of below normal temperatures. And again, this is starting to make some inroads. Chinook winds, where temperatures are actually, this is at 850 hectopascals. You can see the temperatures are warming up here as you get into northwestern Canada and Montana and points north, downsloping off the higher Rocky Mountains. And one last look, we're looking at sea surface temperature anomalies. You can see that off the coast of New England, Middle Atlantic states, it's definitely cooled down. We're in the -1 territory. This is a change. And most of that warmth has now gone further out to sea, as it typically does along the north headwall of the Gulf Stream and toward Europe. And you can see that we're running a little bit below normal off the coast of New England. This would be good for next year's hurricane season if it were to stay like this. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.